No, I think there'll be a few punches thrown.
You know, there was a lot of Arsenal fans going, 100 million, they're not taking it. 90 million, they're not.
Would you swap Declan Rice for Mohamed Kudus straight up? I'd say yes.
Paqueta's another 80 million pound plus player, maybe even 100. Bowen's under 100 million.
He won us a trophy. He was our captain. He will always give his all for us. You know, I've seen the Rio Ferdinands, the Frank Lampards, the Jermaine Defoes. They were world-class players, and I see it. And he's better than any of them.
We're always told we're dreaming as fans, so there you go. But isn't that the job of a football fan? Welcome back to AFTV and welcome back to Box to Box. I'm here with Nicky from West Ham Fan TV. Nicky, let me just start straight off. All I ever hear is David Moyes debates. All I ever hear is, well, they're winless in 2024. All I ever hear is, you know, what's happening at West Ham? We haven't beaten you in the last 3 games.
It's weird. Yes,
I never quite see that form when we're playing.
We say I don't know what it is about Arsenal. I mean, you know, I think the Declan Rice thing's brought a little bit more spice to it, a little bit more eyes on it, focus on it. But yeah, we're having a good run against Arsenal at the minute. You know, to be fair, we haven't had a good run against Arsenal for a long time. So we're a decent side on our day, you know, and we're capable of beating. But we don't have that many days. That's the problem. We need more days when we're competing against the top. But yeah, a barren run for Arsenal at the moment against West Ham, and long may it continue.
I really hope it doesn't, but I hear you. Look, let's talk about West Ham on their day, because you know, you just heard us, we were talking about, you know, we're doing the previews, and I wonder whether you think it's fair or you think it's lazy analysis, the whole, well, we're going to have to find a way to break them down, because over the years you sign players like Kudus, like Bowen, like Paqueta, and some that haven't worked, whether it be a Sebastian Haller, whether it be a, who's the guy you had up front, the Italian guy that I should know? Scamacca.
Yeah.
You know, some haven't worked, but some have been brilliant. You just brought in Calvin Phillips. What are we getting from West Ham? Is this a team that are going to respect Arsenal and do everything to stay in the game, or are you going to throw punches? Because I feel like we have seen more of that from West Ham. Even with 3-0 defeat against United, you had 20-odd shots. What are we getting stylistically from West Ham now?
I think you'll get a team that'll have a go. It's about efficiency for us, you know. It's about, you know, containment, and then coming out of that containment and making them chances count. That's how we play our best football, and that's how David Moyes likes to play his football. But no, I think there'll be a few punches thrown. There's, we'll be talking about this in a second, I'm sure, but there's that Declan Rice spice that adds a little bit to the game. Maybe puts him off of his game a little bit. You know, what I've seen over the last couple of games, he's been excellent. He's always been excellent. They're the 2 worst games I've ever seen him play, and I've seen him at West Ham for a long time. You know, but yeah, I think they'll throw a few punches, but we have to be better. You know, 2024 hasn't been great for us.
Why is that?
A few reasons. I think we haven't strengthened in the right areas. I think there's you know, as good as we are, there's obvious gaps. We've lost a couple of our talisman. Well, all 3 of them for you know, a bit part of that. There was a weird experiment here last week against Bournemouth, which was very strange.
Was that the diamond shape?
Yeah,
or something weird.
Very odd. And I think Bournemouth was the better team on the day. Should have got the result. The farce at Sheffield United, which was like the penalty shout. You know, the penalty was given to them, the penalty wasn't given to us. I think if any of them are sort of like overturned and we get the result, I think we're in a better shape coming into this game. I just think we're a bit down on our luck at the minute, you know, and we've got to try and play ourselves into form. I don't think we was bad at United.
No,
I don't think we was bad at United at all. Calvin Phillips is struggling for fitness. Yeah, he's struggling. You can tell. He looks like a man that hasn't played football in a year and a half. You know, but once he gets into the ebb and flow of things, I think he'll be a good player for us. You know, and I think he'll bring extra dynamism to our midfield. But it's been bad. But we've got to play ourselves out. And you know, and a big game against Arsenal at our stadium, with the confidence that we've already won twice. You know, they're a top side, Arsenal. I think it could be a good game,
on Sunday. And I listen, I think it's made for a great game. A few things you touched in on there. Let's go with Calvin Phillips quickly because I want to sort of know more about the intricacies of this team. He's come in saying he's lacking some fitness. What are the chances he plays? Is it something you've got to play him into? He feels like a player that at his best, he belongs in that West Ham team. But is it going to take some time to get there?
I think it will take a bit of time. You know, 2 games he's played for us has given away 2 goals.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Bournemouth goal was his fault.
Yeah.
One of the United goals was his fault.
Yeah, I remember the Bournemouth one,
just a bit of rust. You know, you have got to shake the rust. I don't think coming in against Arsenal is the best way because, you know, a dominant midfield like Arsenal's, you know, Declan's going to be wanting to prove something this game, and he could see Calvin, who he knows very well, as a bit of an easy target. I don't think it's the time to bring him in. You know, do what we've been doing. Especially against United. Trying to get him behind, trying to get Kudus and Bowen on the ball as much as we can in central areas, and you know, hope for what happened at the Emirates. And that's you know, shut up shop. I feel that it's a bit of a different moment for both teams. You know, we was in decent form in December, and we come off a couple of, you know, maybe games that we shouldn't have won, and we did get the points, and there was a bit of belief. You know, we had Pakatay went off very early. I think that's when we lost him.
That was the game. Well, I think you played him in a cup tie, didn't you? Which felt like he shouldn't have.
Yeah, he'd come back way too early, but that was the beginning of his injury troubles. Kudus was on fire. Bowen was on fire. You know, Kudus has been away at the AFCON. Bowen's been injured and not quite there. Yeah, it's a different moment. And when I looked at Arsenal at the time, you know, Martinelli wasn't really on form. Saka was struggling a little bit. They've picked up their form now. They're starting to show what they did last season. Which is, I think you've got to, you know, take your hat off to Arsenal, because when you've got 2 players like that and Jesus at times that are not firing, to keep yourself still in the game, to you know, to be able to find that form is, you know, it's encouraging for Arsenal. Yeah,
no, certainly. I think that win against Liverpool the other day was massive for us. And actually, let's carry on with Arsenal. We'll get back to West Ham a little bit because I want to know more about the aspirations for the season, the general feeling around the club. But on Arsenal, you know, we come visit, and what's the feeling? Because you're right, this kind of weird rivalry has kind of brewed and blown up, you know, from this Declan Rice stuff. And you know how it can get online. I think we've both seen what that can be like. Absolutely seen it. But it's a team. Look, I can only speak for myself. I've always had a lot of time and respect for West Ham.
Yeah, and me for Arsenal too.
And this has now sort of all happened because of this Declan Rice stuff. But there's always, you know, there has been a little bit of bite in recent games in a good and competitive way. You've had the better of us in the last 3 games. I think, you know, with that Declan Rice stuff comes the fact that I think Arsenal fans look at the day we were 2-0 up here and bottled that lead. Let's call it bottled that lead. You guys did well to come back into it. And I think that really derailed our title race more than any other result. And I think it's making for a game that, I mean, how are West Ham fans feeling? Do they come here with that more spice, that more energy, like we did when Liverpool came to town? And we thought, forget this Jurgen Klopp stuff, forget everything. We want to prove a point. Do West Ham fans come louder for this game than they did for maybe Bournemouth?
I don't think so.
Okay, interesting.
I don't think so. Like, I think, you know, we look at this game. Listen, we're never expected to win these games. You know, especially, you know, Arsenal in the past couple of seasons have been very impressive. We come here in hope. You know, we're doing well ourselves, and I know there's going to be a little bit of talk about Declan, and I know there's going to be a little bit of always a little bit of pettiness from West Ham fans. I'm not one of them. You know, I can only say where I see it. I told Turkish, you know, I've got lots of respect for Declan Rice. I thank Declan Rice. And at the moment, we're building the house that Declan built, you know, in terms of he bought us Kudus. He bought us Alvarez. Yeah. You know, he's bought us, you know, some good quality players.
Ward-Prowse,
that you know, that have given us that extra emphasis to compete. Mm-hmm. I think we've stripped it a little bit in the transfer window. I think we've left ourselves a little bit short for this season. Yeah. But ultimately, I think going forward, if we can keep hold of these players and you know, add to these players, you know, Declan's a distant memory. And he's going to be. I think, and I think you've got to put that out. You know, you can't go into every Arsenal game hating Declan Rice, because at the end of the day, he won us a trophy. He was our captain. He will always give his all for us. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, he could be the catalyst for, you know, what we build a decent team that can be competitive for a few years. Yeah, you cannot. You know, I think Kudus. If someone would have said to me at the beginning of the season, knowing what we know now, would you swap Declan Rice for Mohamed Kudus straight up? I'd say yes. Because I think that's what we needed.
Sure, yeah.
You know, so to get Alvarez and Ward-Prowse out of that as well, I think it's a good deal for all parties. I think it's a little bit blindsided. I think it's just a little bit pettiness. I think people do it just because they know it gets to Declan. and they want to sway the result, which I think is all fair game.
I totally agree, and this is my thing, and I said it going into the other 2 West Ham games. I've got no problem with West Ham fans booing Declan Rice here on the weekend. Like, I genuinely, and it's not from a perspective, he's ours now, so why should he care? He will care. He loves this club still, and he will care.
I think he's a little bit hurt by it.
Well, sure, but the way I see it is, for 90 minutes, it is the fans' job to do, within reason, obviously, to do what it takes to put off the opposition. And Declan Rice, as you said, might have had 2 of the worst games you've ever seen him play when he's played for Arsenal against West Ham. For me, that's West Ham fans doing their job. But at full time, then I expect the applause, I expect the thanks, whatever the result, unless he's quite literally done a knee slide after scoring and kissing the badge, which he's never going to do. That is the point at which, at full time, you go, by the way, thank you, welcome home, and best of luck. During the game, I think it's fair game, again, within reason.
I hope he doesn't take it too personally.
I don't think he will. I really don't.
I think he's a clever lad. I've got a lot of time for the lad. I've got a lot of time for his family. Always have and always will, no matter what he does. I know he has to go and do the best what he feels. There's arguments whether it is the best move, but that's down to him. It's his career. We got the money. There's you owe us a bit more apparently. So,
well, I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of Arsenal fans going, 100 million, they're not taking it. 90 million, they're not. We get it.
It's worth it.
We get it. He's been unbelievable, and you've been impressed by his performances at Arsenal as well.
I'm always impressed by him.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
he's world class. You're the first to tell me he was world class. You're right. And I do feel like there's something about him where you have to watch almost everything he does in a game to know he doesn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, to know exactly what he does and what he brings to a side, you have to watch him week in, week out. And I do get it. I do get why people are not that savvy to the qualities he brings, because it is everything about his game.
Yeah, it is,
the little things that won't be shown on Match of the Day.
Yeah, I agree.
And things like that. The breaking. He breaks up play before it's a play.
He has this signature tackle where you think, oh, he's nowhere near the man. He somehow wraps his leg around, wins the ball. And I'm thinking, well, they're going to give a foul there. But the ref never does because he's won it so cleanly.
He's up and he's out. And, his qualities are second to none. And, I always, you get a gauge, people, we had that famous video with Lee in the summer. What do you know about world class? I know world class. I've seen world class come through these doors. I've seen the Rio Ferdinands, the Frank Lampards, the Jermaine Defoes. They were world class players, and I see it. And he's better than any of them. Make no mistake, he's better than any of them. In terms of, I'm not saying they're all different players, but in terms of attitude, in terms of application, in terms of what he can, the way he influenced games here. Hands down, the best academy product I've seen personally.
There you go,
I've seen
Arsenal
a lot.
Fans. There you go. When you're defending Declan Rice, that's the line. Get that clip, because Nicky knows his stuff. He's seen these players. And listen, I trust your opinion, mate. But just very quickly on West Ham again. When you look at the last few seasons, okay, whether it's Moyes in, Moyes out, whatever it might be, questions about the football or whatever, some signs have worked, some haven't. But a European trophy, a third season of European football. You can chuck your Europa League semi-final in there.
Yeah.
Another potential run in the Europa League, although, again, probably frustrating. This is the year you find Liverpool in it. But generally, this club have been competing, with the best for a few years now. And that's where I guess you wanted to be. But where's next, and what's the expectation from the fans, and how's the general feeling around the club?
Just keep them in them competitions, and like you say about, Liverpool being in it. Look, we beat Seville in our first season. We knocked them out of the competition. They're the kings. They're the kings of the UEFA Cup.
Didn't you beat Leon as well?
We beat Leon. A comfortable 3-0 victory away from home as well. To knock them out. These are no mugs, these teams. And at the end of the day, look, I know Liverpool in it, and I know they're going to be favourites, and I know there's going to be talk, but you can't fear anyone. If you want to be the best, you can't go to these UEFA Conference League ones and be the favourites and come out on top all the time. There's got to be upsets, and there's got to be times when you face that head on. Listen, in terms of whether we can win that competition, doesn't matter. All I want to be doing is playing some sort of European competition again next season. Finish the table as high as we can and build on the brilliant squad. Look, I know there's talk about Paquetá, City. We're not going to be able to stop him from going if City come calling, unfortunately. But You know, there are good players here. There's a good vibe around here. The future's looking bright. You know, how that future looks in terms of management, I don't know. But for me, I'm looking forward to it.
Paqueta's another £80 million plus player, maybe even 100. Bowen's another 100.
It'd be an £85 million because that's the clause in his contract.
Oh, he's got. Oh, okay. What about Bowen? What would he go for? I'm not saying he is
250 million.
Yeah. But my thing is, right, these are. If you replenish a stock right, like you did with the Rice money, you come out better for it. And these players love the club anyway. So, like you said, maybe Paqueta, you can't. But you know, listen, some really talented players.
Paqueta's a brilliant player.
Yeah,
he's one of the best I've seen here, and but you got to remember, like, for a large portion of last season, he wasn't really here.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
end of the season, he started to come.
He started to come alive. You know, he really struggled to fit into this team, to fit into this league. Come alive at the end of the season. For a large portion of this season now, he hasn't been here. If we get £85 million from and invest it in 2, 3, 4 positions, the way we've invested the Rice money, I'm happy. I'm happy because
I hear it.
You know, we need a bit of depth. You know, and listen, you got to start building from somewhere. Arsenal, a couple of years ago, wasn't on this level. They're on this level now because they've built. They've had luck with their a couple of their youth prospects. People like Saliba coming through.
Yeah, you need a bit of
that. You know, a massive. If we can get that, we've got a good academy here. You never know. You never know what might happen. Look, I might be dreaming. I might be, thinking in my head in the stars. But you got to start from somewhere.
We're always told we're dreaming as fans. So there you go. But isn't that the job of a football fan? Everyone, go check out the amazing West Ham Fan TV, of course, with Nicky, with Dan Lawless as well. You'll find on Football's 12th Man podcast with Dan Potts, who was on the preview and Predict 11. So go check out all that amazing content. Subscribe to AFTV, and we'll round it off with the final word from Nicky, a score prediction.
2-2.
2-2, fair enough. I'm going for a 1-0. I think we're both agreeing it's going to be a tight game. And final prediction, Arsenal's position in the table at the end of the season.
Oh.
Tricky one.
Second.
I
think they'll get second.
I agree with that. I actually agree with that. All right, everyone, big thanks. Get in the comment section. Show your love for Nicky. Go show your love for West Ham Fan TV. Check out all the content across both channels. And, of course, we'll be keeping you up to date with every kick of a ball on the watch-along on Sunday. Catch you all in a bit.